Hello and welcome to another Zach Carnage video, and today I am bringing you the first place deck profile from the most recent Oxford Locals tournament. So I actually managed to win the day with Monarchs. As you can see, the non-extra deck variant, although people keep telling me to play the extra deck variant, and with the way things are going with people really not really using the extra deck so much apart from BA, I think I may actually end up doing that anyway, although I do love floodgates, as you know from seeing my Cliffort days. So let's get into the deck profile. It is Monarchs, so it's very straightforward. We play 3 copies of Ether, 3 copies of Erebus, and 1 Thestalos. I might bump this up to 2, depending on how the deck tests in the future, but at the moment this 3, 3, and 1 is working out really well for me. And then the 2 Curas to work with the Ether. I don't think you need a third one. You really don't like drawing this card. It's actually awful to draw. So it's much better to just save it and leave it in the deck and only play 2 of them. And the last semi-monarch is Majesty's Fiend. And this actually turned out to be really good today. I like having it in the main just because it makes your turn 1 plays a great deal better. And this deck is really designed to go for turn 1 plays anyway. So that's why he's in there. Then 3 copies of Red Layer, the best non-monarch in the deck. This guy's fantastic because you can special and normal him to trigger return and to get your domain lock off. That's really all there is to say about him, apart from that he recycles, which is nice. 2 copies of Edia, 2 Eidos, and 2 Mithra. So basically these ratios are really actually very good. The Mithra means that you'll be able to get more plays off, so it makes the deck more combo based and actually makes the deck much more fun to play. And it means it's actually a lot more skillful if you're not just turn 1 doing 1 setup, if you can actually get 2 goes off, and this allowed me to OTK several times, so Mithra is actually very good. I might put that up to 3, I might not. Double Eidos and double Edia is really good because you need to recycle all the stuff that you banish from the grave. You do go through a lot of stuff. It is unfortunate seeing Eidos early on because you ideally want to get the Edia combo going off as soon as possible, but 2 and 2 is really probably the right ratios, I think, for the moment. Moving on to the spells, we play 3 copies of Domain, obviously, because you want this to be Floodgate deck, basically. We play 3 copies of Search for Domain, 3 copies of Search for Domain if you didn't search for Domain. Yeah, no, like, these are all great. Pantheism is really important for getting to your side deck cards as well. It's essentially, in a sense, it works in a similar way to Pot of Duality for other decks. In that this is what allows you to see your Floodgate cards sooner, or your sided cards sooner, so this is what really keeps the deck alive in game 2. Then obviously 3 copies of Stormforth, and 3 copies of Return. This used to be at 1, I pushed it up to 3 now, and I'm much happier with it at 3, just because you can always get the search off for this when you want this with Pantheism, and that's it for the Monarch spells. Then I'm only playing 39 cards with Upstart Goblin. Oh, sorry, I'm only playing 38 cards with Terraforming. You basically want Domain the entire time, so having a Terraforming is never a problem. Even if you get 2, you can normally just Pantheism away the second one if you don't want it, so Terraforming is actually really good in the deck. If Chicken Game was still around, I would obviously be playing that and some more Terraformings as well. And then for the traps, 3 copies of Prime. Used to be at 2, now at 3. I'm not sure that I want it at 3. But I don't think this is the card I cut, because I also played 1 copy of Escalation, and I still don't really like Escalation. Like, the only good thing about this card for me is that I can discard it with Pantheism. I think that's because I pretty much always went first turn, and I never saw this in my first turn. I always saw this in like turn 2 or 3 when it was way too late to actually be important to me. But I suppose you want it in the main rather than the side so that you're more likely to see it in the first game. But I sided this out a lot, and sometimes I sided out the 3rd Prime, just because I didn't think I needed it so much. Obviously, like, Upstart Goblin and stuff would come out. But that's it for the main deck. So very basic Monarch stuff there. And for the side, 3 copies of Twisters, because I've been playing against a lot of people putting in restricts, and I really need to see Twisters as soon as possible, especially when they set double restrict, and having the MST because you're a cheapskate just doesn't cut it in those cases, so you really need this card in the deck. Double Dark Hole and Raigeki is fantastic in the mirror and pretty good against Cosmo, good against a lot of Rogue, which we do see in Oxford as well. and for against Rogue, March helps as well. Also, sometimes, like in the BA matchup, this can be really useful because they have to target your big stuff in order to get past it, and otherwise they have to blow up your field, and so it was just unfortunate that I never saw this in my BA matchup, which was a bit of a shame, but it's still a fairly useful card, although I don't think I would main it yet. Maybe if we see more BA stuff. Then, really exciting for BA, double Max C, double Flying C. I saw one Max C way too late in Game 2, and I never saw Flying C. I don't think I used either of them apart from that. Then second Majesty's Fiend, very good against Rogue, very good against BA, very good against Cosmo. This card is really just a generically good card. It's not something that you want to see in your first game so much, although it's okay to just sit on, but in the Monarch Mirror they just tribute it away, so it's not that good, so that's why I decided this one instead of maining two. One Caius, the Mega Monarch, is actually very good at the moment because you can banish a whole bunch of stuff, especially like BA stuff. If you banish, say, a Seer or something, or like a Scum, and then they lose everything, basically. This is really good. Actually needed the damage to win me my second game against BA, which meant that I had the draw there. So that's why I won the event. And then I played 2 Chaos Hunter, which is a little bit odd, but I can't play Iron Wall in this deck, and I really... I'm a Floodgate player, so this is like the closest thing I can get to it. It's a double tribute, so it's okay with like Editor and stuff, and it only affects your opponent, so it's good in that sense. Also, we do occasionally see like Cosmo and Infernoid and a few other random decks that banish, so that's why I played this at the locals. For a few details of some of the matchups that I had, first round was actually against Infernoids, and I 2-0'd there. First game was that I stopped his plays, and the second game he just drew a really bad hand, so I smashed through there. I sided this in and never saw it, so it didn't actually end up being relevant. Just Ether managing to do damage was good enough. My second game was against Chaos Dragons featuring Beatrice, which can make them really, really powerful, but again I 2-0'd there. The domain lock actually helped out in that matchup because of stopping Beatrice and stopping any significant plays. And yeah, like I just OTK'd in the second game for that one, and apart from that I just sat there on some decent monsters and just kept pushing for damage. Third round was against a scrap deck, which was actually really interesting. Or it would have been if he'd had access to his extra deck, because I just kept the domain lock up knowing that he had access to some really decent stuff. Also, like, the Fiends helped out there as well, so that he actually couldn't make any plays, because there was a point when I didn't have the domain lock because he had an MST, so Fiend always helps out in those situations. Round 4 was against BA. We actually had a massively long game too, which went all the way through time. And I managed to put a decent board early on and done some damage, and that was the only reason why I won. We were on like the third turn of time, and he had 400 life points left, and I had like 1200. After most of the game, him being on 42 and me being on 8k, so it got down to a really bad state of the game where if I let him play, then he would have actually won. And it was all about top decking at that point, and I just kept needing to like get stuff so I could use my Rebus and things, and I just couldn't. And then I set up a Fiend, and then he was trying to do stuff and just couldn't. We ended up in a state where he top decked to Seer. He summoned the Seer and went to attack, and then I got the Prime, so he couldn't do the damage. And at this point, he was on 400, I was on 12, and I was just top decking to see if I could do anything to get past the Seer, because obviously Prime's only on 1k, and if I don't do anything, he's going to make some plays. So, the star of the show comes out. Yes, it is in fact a red layer. I really love the fact that I play through this guy now, because it was just so ridiculously silly how I managed to pull this off, which was just that because Seer only has 1600 attack, my opponent was on 400 life, tribute the Prime, attack, and that was game. He couldn't resolve the Seer effect, and he lost. And the fifth round was against Cyframes. Very fun matchup. I really thought I was losing the first round, because he managed to set up a really good board, and then it got to the stage where I was just like anticipating a few of his plays, so I managed to play around some of his stuff and just about got the win there. And in the second game, I just saw loads of really good stuff and he saw terrible hands, so again, yeah, I managed to win there. So against Scrap, BA, Chaos, Phonoids, and Psyframes, this deck was amazing. 2-0 everyone apart from BA. So BA is still a fairly difficult matchup for this deck depending on who goes first. If you brick, which I did twice during the event, then it can be awful, but most of the time you should be able to work your way around it. And to be fair, the deck doesn't brick as much as most people say it does. So if you're playing Monarchs, then good luck. So if you're watching this on Yu-Gi-Oh, don't forget to go ahead and check out my channel, Zach Carnage, for more deck profiles, duel videos, and some random videos as well. There'll be a link to that in the description down below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.